Let's talk about dirt and grime. Hi, I'm Cameron, and I'm a fantasy author. And in our stories, we have a tendency to get an idea or scene stuck in our heads, particularly with how our characters look. We have this trope sometimes of the knight in shining armor. Keyword shining. Our characters are outfitted with flashy bits and bobs and buckles and belts and all of this different stuff that adds a sense of gravitas. We like details. But between all that comes a reality if our characters are on the road. That is, that the natural elements are going to take their toll. Mud and grit and grime work their way into every crevice of our character's kit. It's not sexy, and that's entirely the point. Because the real world, the world of our characters, and along with the world that we recognize, isn't clean. Especially in classic fantasy worlds where there isn't something like a laundromat or plumbing. And through that, cleanliness is something that needs to be upkept. It's something that I'm writing about currently in the Great Fantasy Story, which you can find by using the link in bio. Give a subscribe while you're there, it would help me out a lot. One of my characters, Samira, is walking through a market square. A well-trodden one on a rainy day, and the muck is getting up in her boots well into the tread. And as she stands under a tarp to get away from it all, it starts to harden. It gets thick within her boots. And it's something she's going to have to clean out or clean off later on. Such is the case with every bit of gear that our characters wear. Our characters' gear being dirty can have significant consequences when they go into combat or when they're dealing with dignitaries. All the wealth of interactions that they can have can be affected by how their gear is. It could slow them up just enough to where they can't get a block off, or they may have someone perceive them as being low status. I think too The Witcher doing a good job of just showing us that grit and grime can build up on our characters. Death Stranding 2 even has a mechanic for this. It can also be used as a plot point. I think of The King with Timothée Chalamet, or along those very same actors' lines, Dune. The point is that dirt and grit and grime find their way into our characters' gear. It's important, therefore, to make sure that you find ways to clean them off. Yes, it could be as simple as going into a river and doing a hard scrub. But as an element of realism, as an element to ground people within your story, talking about how things get dirty is almost necessary. Because it's real and something we can all identify with, and for that reason it should be given its due consideration when you're writing your story. Be sure to give a like, follow, subscribe, all those good things, and stick around for more Fantasy Foundations.